Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news video. This time we have some updates on San Diego Comic-Con 2019, what's going to be happening there that's Avatar related. So as you can see here, we have the panel, and then there's also one piece of information about sort of like promo stuff that will be available. But the panel is the main thing. Saturday at 3 p.m, so Saturday at 3 p.m, San Diego time, we get the main Avatar panel. Water, Earth, Fire, Air, continuing the Avatar legacy. Dark Horse Comics, Abrams Books, and Nickelodeon are thrilled to treat fans to a panel worthy of Aang himself. Avatar The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra co-creator Michael Dante DiMartino, Avatar The Last Airbender Imbalance writer Faith Erin Hicks, and Avatar The Last Airbender The Rise of Kyoshi writer SCE will provide further exploration of the beloved world. Fans will also have an opportunity to showcase their knowledge of the elements in a fun trivia competition for awesome prizes. Now, ultimately, this is, I think, structured in a very similar way to all the Dark Horse panels, with the whole idea of a panel worthy of Aang himself, and the last line being added onto everything, opportunity to win prizes. But this actually feels like a year where something could happen at San Diego Comic-Con, and it's been a long time since there's really been any excitement for Avatar at San Diego Comic-Con, especially since Korra has come to an end. The comics news has tended to come out around New York Comic-Con rather than San Diego Comic-Con, but just the lineup of people that they have here, they have one of the co-creators. He's also, the writer of Ruins of the Empire. They have the writer of the Avatar comics at the moment, Faith Erin Hicks, and the writer of the first novel, FCE. They have the writer of all of the main projects at the moment here. And the fact that, again, one of the co-creators is there, that means this is a big panel. I don't think this is just going to be a throwaway panel where there's nothing really to talk about here. I suppose there's always the opportunity, the chance that it is just going to be, Ruins of the Empire part, 1 is out, part 2 is coming out soon. It could just be, here are the books we're working on, buy these books, these ones are out right now, these ones are coming next, no news, and then they just do the fan Q&A. But it is a good lineup, and I don't think they're going to waste it. Again, we'll probably see closer to the day, just if there is anything that's going to come out of this. I think the other thing to remember about these panels is that, especially with the comics, they never really tend to let the panels make the big announcements. So if they are going to reveal some big stuff here, more than likely it will come out with a news article prior to the convention, or maybe just a little bit afterwards, but more than likely prior. The last few years we've gotten our big sort of what's next for the comics kind of news update just the week before basically the New York Comic-Con panel. San Diego Comic-Con obviously is before New York Comic-Con, so will they do it earlier this time out? I'm not sure. But, they have the people they need to do it, and I suppose the final thing really to discuss here is just, what news is there, what could be here, speculation. So, I think the smaller pieces of news that they'll have to potentially announce here, the stuff that could just be at the panel, and then will come out a little bit, afterwards to everyone else, is Ruins of the Empire Part 3 cover and description. The book has not been officially solicited yet, so the cover reveal is actually something that they could have here. Just what is the cover for Ruins of the Empire Part 3? That's something we've been waiting for. Ruins of the Empire Library Edition, it's maybe a little early, but if they're working ahead on this stuff, that's an opportunity to have the Ruins of the Empire Library Edition cover reveal. Imbalance Library Edition as well, that probably seems a little bit more likely to happen than the Ruins of the Empire one, but that's there. I think a cool cover for the Imbalance hardcover could be something really, really worth showing off, though they tend to not really talk about the hardcover while the series hasn't fully ended yet, but we'll see what exactly they do. They do also have Team Avatar Tales they'll probably at least mention, even if they won't maybe focus on it all that much. you know, depending on what way preview pages goes, when review copies go out and stuff like that, they might actually be able to show off preview pages for Runes of the Empire Part 2 and Imbalance Part 3. It just depends on how a lot of that stuff works out. If any news site gets exclusive access to the preview pages and stuff like that, we'll have to wait and see. And then Rise of Kyoshi. I think there's definitely the opportunity at this panel to show off the cover for The Shadow of Kyoshi, so book 2 of the Kyoshi duo of books, especially with FCE there. That seems like the perfect opportunity to do that. Again, they don't really tend to let the panels be the source of news, so more than likely a lot of this stuff would probably come out as a news article and then they'd cover it also in the panel. But the big piece of news that we're waiting for is what is the next Avatar comic, and I suppose also what's the next Korra comic. I think they're close enough, even though obviously Imbalance is like a book ahead. I think they're still close enough to where I would like the announcement to be sort of what's next for both series, rather than just, you know, one at a time type thing. But the Avatar comic, I think, is kind of the more important one to get right here, because they sort of have to deliver. Like, Imbalance Part 3 isn't out yet. We don't know how the series is going to end, but it's probably not going to absolutely blow us away like The Search or something like that, like Runes of the Empire is kind of doing at the moment on the Korra side of things. So they sort of, I feel like they have to announce an important Avatar comic next. So getting the story right for what's next, I think, is important. Will they announce it in or around Comic-Con? I think it's a good opportunity, because what we do know is that it seems all but confirmed Faith Erin Hicks is going to be the writer on the next Avatar comic. She mentioned on Twitter recently that she's working on something kind of new Avatar related, and given that, you know, review copies are available to request for Imbalance Part 3, that means her writing work on the series is done, so she is working on something post-Imbalance. So it seems very likely she is confirmed to be the writer for the next book as well. We'll just have to wait and see on the artist, Peter Wortman. The impression I get is probably that he won't be continuing, but I wouldn't ever really say that, like, for sure this is happening. It's just little bits and pieces that he said and stuff like that along the way lead me to believe that that's the case. He seems like he kind of wants to do his own project, is based on some of the stuff he's kind of tweeting about. So, you know, that's fine. So we are looking for another new artist. So, you know, there's some stuff to announce when they get around to announcing the next Avatar book. They need to get a good artist, and I think they need to get a good story. Now, I want the Azula story. I think it's the most obvious thing to do. Have it be a little bit more Fire Nation focused. Have it be like the reunion of Mei and Zuko again. You know, have them get back together. Cover stuff with Ki, Ursa, Iroh, and of course Azula as like a big focus. I think that's the side of the story you need to go back to. Cover important stuff. And then the comics really have like an open kind of field in front of them to do whatever they want. Like you after you cover the Azula stuff, you sort of wrapped up a lot of the stuff that you have to deal with the characters in this sort of time period, and you can sort of move on a little bit. You can have a bigger time skip, I think, and move on from there. I'd actually like to hope that this is more of a panel where we get to sort of discuss the direction of stuff, but they never really tend to do that. I think the format of this panel will be like most of them, of like they'll announce themselves and stuff like that. They'll cover, you know, like here's the covers for the books that Faith Erin Hicks has written. Here's Runes of the Empire. You know, Mike DiMartino saying, "Oh yeah, I wrote this one." You know, then FCE, you know, here's the book he wrote, and they'll talk a little bit about each of them. Maybe we'll get some of those other things like Runes of the Empire Part 3 cover, Imbalance hardcover cover for that, and then, you know, depending on if there's been an announcement before or not, cover some of that stuff. Even if there's not the big announcement, I assume there might be at the very least Faith Erin Hicks, you know, mentioning that she's working on new Avatar as just a tease for the future, like confirming I am the writer for the next book. The announcement's coming soon or something like that. But what I will say about this, even if it is not the big news panel that I think we all want, and it is more of the same, but they sort of have a better lineup here, I still think it's going to be a little bit more interesting this time. It feels like there's at least something to this with the the addition here of it's Dark Horse, Abrams Books, and Nickelodeon. Just the fact that they're it's not just Dark Horse. It feels like there is a bit more going on here, especially with the fact that Mike is working on the Netflix show. Not that I think there'll be any update about that in this panel, but I think there should be increased excitement about this and focus on the panel with the novel, the fact that there's an Avatar and a Korra comic running at the same time, plus Team Avatar Tales, plus the Netflix show on the horizon. Avatar is kind of making a comeback, so this panel should be sort of popular, and I understand why they're kind of putting a little bit more into it. How the content goes is going to be important though. So hopefully they have some things to show off to impress people, and we can actually get something out of this. If not, we probably are waiting until just before New York Comic Con to get our big announcements, but we have to wait and see. The last thing for San Diego Comic Con is this. Inside Editions will be selling Legend of Korra and Avatar Chronicles early at their booth, and if you purchase a copy at their booth, you will also receive a free poster, which is this image here. I think this is a really, really nice image. I think it's the same artist that did the art that's on the cover for an Avatar's Chronicle. Really, really nice. It's obviously a very specific time that this picture would have had to have been taken in universe, because obviously Bo Lane is only a police officer during Turf Wars, and then a little bit just prior to Turf Wars. So there's really not that much time that Bo Lane is a police officer, so it's a very specific thing, but I think it's a really nice image. I think it's obviously a different art style, but I think it really, really works. It's just, the full Team Avatar, Tenzin's there, Naga, it's a really, really nice image. So I think, if you're there, and there's going to be a new Avatar book on sale. I think a lot of people are sort of interested to see if there's anything that an Avatar's Chronicle has to say that's new. I don't think there will be, but we'll see. And yeah, they're selling that book early. I think that's by the time it's probably roughly 2 weeks early that they're selling it. So that is somewhat interesting, and a free poster. I think that's a pretty cool thing. Plus, with the fact that the book does have all those inserts in it, so you get posters, postcards and stuff like that in the book as well, because of just what type of book it is. And I think a lot of people just want to know what exactly it is. So cool. Inside Editions are doing something a little bit more to hype up this book compared to, say, Avatar Legacy. It maybe gives you some hope that the book after this, Legacy of the Fire Nation, that's kind of Iroh focused, is going to be the book we want it to be. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say here. So main thing I want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on the panel this year? Do you think SDCC this year is going to be another disappointment, and it's going to be just another skippable thing where the last couple of years as Avatar fans we haven't really needed at all to tune into San Diego Comic Con, because there's just been nothing happening. Even when there is a panel, it was literally just the artist or writer of one of the comics there, and it was just a panel. Nothing of newsworthy came out of it. Do you think there's anything to this with them saying Abrams Books, Nickelodeon, it feeling like it's gonna a little bit more, or will it just be more of the same? When do you think they'll make the big announcements about the next books? Just in general, what are your thoughts on Comic-Con for Avatar this year? But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.